where most losses were suffered, what the government was doing was that our security officers worked to set up checkpoints. That is because after we decided to restore law and order, we knew that if we had military officers move in to disperse the rallies, there would be many, many more losses. So our strategy was to seal the area off, and therefore these checkpoints were set up. In setting up these checkpoints, our instructions to the officers were clear, that live bullets would only be used as a warning in self-defense, or only when the attackers or targets have lethal weapons and were in clear sight. I would emphasize once again that setting up these checkpoints and defending these checkpoints were intended to minimize losses in our attempt to pressure to end the protests. These were set up roughly on May the 14th, and after about 3 or 4 days, it became clear that the strategy was paying off in terms of reducing the number of demonstrators. From numbers of around over 10,000, the numbers in Ratchaprasong intersection was reduced to roughly around 3,000-4,000. But armed groups continued to attack these checkpoints, and also innocent people along the way. Some groups were especially targeted, such as journalists and volunteer workers. And so, this in mind, we decided to undertake to tighten the perimeters and to cordon off the protest area further. That was what took place on May the 19th by moving into areas around Lumpini Park, the Sarasin intersection. Again, without the intention of going into Ratchaprasong intersection as such. We needed to do that because it was also clear that from mid-May or early May onwards, weapons were being stored in that area, and also that a number of grenades that were launched, particularly the M79 grenades, were launched from around Lumpini area. Once we had successfully reclaimed that area, the leaders of the demonstrators decided to call off the rally. After they dispersed, we halted the cordoning operations to allow demonstrators to go home. But unfortunately, the armed extremists continued to go on attack. As you know, they set buildings on fire in numerous locations, not just in the protest area, but other areas in Bangkok. I think as more and more evidence surface, you can see that those violent actions were premeditated and coordinated in advance. They weren't merely outbursts of emotions. And of course, in the evening, tragically, a number of people, innocent people at Patumanaram Temple were shot. I would point out that there will have to be a full investigation into the temple incident, but only to point out at this stage that the military operations, as I have said, had already ceased, because the demonstrations were called off at around 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the shooting incident took place at around 7 o'clock in the evening. That is just a quick summary of what we tried to do, especially after the reconciliation plan was rejected by the protesters and the leaders of the UDD. And I would just make one further point concerning what had happened, that there are reports that on the night of the 18th of May, there were attempts of mediation by the Senate, which was rejected by the government. I would just like to recall that I was contacted by the President of the Senate in the afternoon of May the 18th. And the only concrete proposal that I had from this group of senators was that there would be what they call a ceasefire after 6 o'clock in the evening. But on the night of the 18th, there continued to be grenades launched at military checkpoints. So I told the President of the Senate clearly that this was clearly not working, and that other proposals that I received through NGOs and groups that try to act as mediators were impractical suggestions, such as saying that we should try to get the troops to retreat from their checkpoints and ask all the people who were causing trouble in the Klong Toei area, Din Dang area, to join the demonstrations at Ratchaprasong, which would clearly be counterproductive to what we were trying to do, which is to end the protests by putting on pressure with minimum losses. As far as the current situation is concerned, today we still have the state of emergency still in place, although last night was the last as far as curfews are concerned. We're not going to extend curfews as of tonight. And Ratchaprasong and the city of Bangkok is returning to normalcy. You will have seen the big cleanup day where volunteers, Thai and foreign, helped officials of the BMA to clean up the streets in the aftermath. Let me express my thanks and appreciation to any of you and your people who have joined in that activity. Again, I think it pretty much reflects how Thais are resilient and are willing to come together to try to move our country forward. And I can say that on that day when we returned the Ratchaprasong intersection to the BMA, it can be said that we have reclaimed Bangkok back for the people. As I said before, there will be independent investigations on the events that took place over these last 2 months. Due process of law in terms of criminal prosecution and court cases will proceed without any interference. And of course, we will need all the help we can in terms of the gathering of facts and evidence. And we will do it in as an open and transparent manner as possible as far as information on all the events is concerned. And as far as helping compensate victims and those affected by the protests, earlier this week, the Cabinet had already approved emergency measures to compensate victims over the last couple of months, authorized aid to individuals, providing grants, low-cost loans to businesses, and funds to help pay for employee wages and leases, among other initiatives. And assistance will be for employees working in both small and large businesses. And there have also been arrangements and continued consultations among those affected by the events, and a special committee that has been set up by the Cabinet headed by the Secretary General Gobsak Sapawasuk. We've moved swiftly, putting as our priority those who have been laid